Hey everybody, I'm Tim, and today we're pulling back the curtain on the cigar industry's deep, dark secret. You're watching Cigars Daily. Get more out of this video when you watch it on Rumble and when you join the community on Cigars Daily Plus. In the world that we occupy, it makes sense when price correlates with quality. It seems like there's a value exchange there. If you and I were to go out and get, say, a couple of hamburgers, we would expect cheaper hamburgers to be not as good as more expensive hamburgers. If we went to a fast food joint and got a hamburger that cost, $11 or some ridiculous amount like that, because that's what hamburgers cost now, even at a fast food place, which doesn't make any sense, but it's where we find ourselves. We would expect those to be not quite as good as maybe a hamburger that's ridiculously $16 or $18 at a nicer restaurant. It's like the exchange of value. And certainly it seems to be that way in most things. If you go shop for a vehicle, you'll find that the cheaper ones get you from A to B, and the more expensive ones might do it in style or do it a lot faster. If you go and buy a cheap plane ticket, you're going to be sitting in between two people who you feel totally cramped up between, and maybe a baby's crying in your ear and a lady's screaming at the stewardess. But if you spend a little bit more money, you get a nice wide open seat and a glass of champagne, and somebody comes and puts a warm towel on your face at some point for some reason. It's the world over. Price and value, they kind of correlate with each other. Unfortunately, in the world of luxury, it doesn't always go exactly that way. And the cigar industry is one of those places where the value proposition doesn't run exactly straight across the board, where price and quality meet exactly. So what I want to do is demystify this for you. And this all came up for me just yesterday. I was responding to comments on the video that I posted about cigars and the definition of cigars. What is a cigar, I think, is the title, part of the title of that video. And I got this comment from Rocket Mail, who makes a good point that it's going to, like Rocket Mail, it's going to sort of feel like I'm picking on you, but I think that this outlines or at least sets up what I want to outline very well. Rocket Mail says, "I'm glad that you're helping protect our very fine industry. I only buy premium boutique cigars because I want quality. I would hate to see the industry devalued in any way, and the people that roll cigars are artists, and I want them to flourish." And I think that he hits the nail on the head in so many ways. Truly, this industry is an industry of art. It's an industry of community. It's an industry that goes back hundreds of years and has a lot of history. At the same time, it is an industry where price and value don't always match up perfectly. There's a few reasons for that, and that's what I want to sort of pick on. He makes this statement in here: "I only buy premium boutique cigars because I want quality." And there is this assumption among many aficionados that if a cigar is what you'd call boutique or artisanal, that it is a higher quality cigar. And the whole idea of boutique in the cigar world is not altogether different than that of craft beer. If you are a big fan of beers, you will know all about this. There are cigar companies out there who do small batch, small projects where they create blends. And these guys, maybe some of them are rolling 200,000 cigars a year, which sounds like a lot, but it's really quite small in comparison with a lot of the larger brands many of them roll tens of millions of cigars a year. And so you look at these smaller batch quantities of a couple 100,000, maybe all the way up to 1 million cigars a year. And it's, I think, easy to assume that a smaller boutique brand can put out cigars with much higher attention to detail, much more complexity in the blend, maybe even better eye on construction, but it's certainly not the way it always works. Now, I'm going to tell you I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you what's inside of this. And then I'm going to tell you what you can look forward to, because even though a company's boutique, it doesn't mean that their cigars are going to be outstanding. It doesn't also mean they're going to be bad. The value proposition can be there or not. And this is really like what it all boils down to. But if you've been in cigars for a while, you've heard this term before. And if you haven't, let me introduce you to the term vertically integrated. It's not just a cigar term, it's a business term. Vertical integration is the idea that a company owns the parts of their process. In premium cigars, there are basically 4 parts of the cigar making process: the field, farm, factory, and what I call the family name or the brand name. I use the word family so that it's 4 F's. And I'd like that. It seems pretty consistent for me. But the field is where they grow the leaf. Does a brand actually own the leaf they grow, or do they grow the leaf they own, or are they buying it from someone else? Do they own the farm where the leaves are cured and where they're fermented? Do they own that process that takes the leaf from green leaves in the field all the way to aged brown leaves that are like prepared and ready to be put into a cigar? Do they own the factory where the cigars are rolled? And if they don't, then they're going to be outsourcing that. And then finally, the family name. Coincidentally, one of the biggest misconceptions that there are about a lot of boutique cigar brands out there is that because they're small, they're high quality. And because they're high quality, maybe that's why they're expensive. In reality, the cost of a cigar has in many ways to do with that vertical integration. Do you own the field, farm, factory, and family name? And every part of that you don't own as a cigar maker will naturally add some more expense to making the overall cigar. Now, like if you don't own the field, you have to go out, like I mentioned, and buy the leaf to put into your blend. You have to do that every year and get very consistent leaf. If you don't own the farm, then you've got to have somebody with the resources create the pilons, or you've got to get leaf that's already fermented. Even that adds a little bit more cost to the making of a cigar. If you don't own a factory, you have to have a factory make those cigars for you, and that adds a little bit to the cost. Every little step in the process adds a lot more to it, as opposed to if you were like a multi-generational cigar making family and you own all 4 of the F's. You got your own field, your own farm, your own factory, and you do it all yourself. It saves a ton of money and even saves a little bit of time. And then at the very end of this, there's this whole part of packaging, which is a massive part of what goes into premium cigars. You see, when you make cigar boxes, and particularly cigar rings and the stickers, and they call it a vista that goes on the box, the number of those that you print, changes dramatically. The price of the band changes dramatically based on the quantity that you make. If you print cigar rings like 5,000 or 10,000 at a time, I've seen them get, out insanely expensive, like as much as 50 cents to $1 or even more per cigar ring. If you take that process of printing and scale it up and print like 100,000 cigar rings at a time, you can make just about the same ring, and they cost just a few cents to make. It's a colossal difference in the price of making a cigar ring for 10,000 cigars versus 100,000. And this is a big separation between boutique brands that make, 200, 500,000 cigars a year versus the brands that make 30 million cigars a year. The cost of doing business just gradually goes down. Now, I've blown open the lid on a lot with this. If you see upstarting boutique brands, you can ask the brand owner how much of the process they own. And you can go through all of this with them, and maybe they'll explain it to you, and maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just hand you the cigar and say, do you like it? There are a lot of brand owners that do that, and they're wonderful people. But when it comes down to the quality of cigars and quality of boutique brands, my argument here is that it's not price that directly relates with value. It's not even vertical integration that matters so much in, is the cigar going to be good? I've got a lot of cigar making friends who are not integrated at all in the business. They literally outsource almost every part of the process. And then they are the business entity on the United States side of this. But some of these guys make spectacular cigars. I would argue that when it comes to what makes a brand good, only two things matter. The first one is, do you like the cigars? Like, that's it. That's all there is to it. And is the quality of that cigar justify to the individual the price that they're going to pay for it? Some cigars cost $15. And when you light that cigar up, is it a $15 cigar in your mind? Does it provide $15 worth of flavor complexity and good construction and a brilliant experience? This is ultimately the main key to any cigar brand out there. And the other side of it, I think, has to do with like, what is the blending philosophy of a brand owner? Whether a brand is fully vertically integrated and makes 30 million cigars a year, or whether they don't own any part of the process, is that cigar maker somebody that, like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, is this somebody that you vibe with? Is this somebody whose philosophy to making cigars, like, speaks to you? This is why when I talk to new cigar makers, the number one question I ask is, what sets your brand apart? I ask cigar makers this question because it helps me like look inside their philosophy for cigar making. Do they actually have like a idea about how the cigar making process should go? Is there something special about how they think about blending? Or do they just want to create cigars that taste good to them, that have bright packaging, that stand out, and maybe it's a quick cash grab? And there's some guys out there who are like that for sure. But certainly, like, I look at these two things more than just about anything. For me, I boil it down to the experience of the cigar. Does it speak to me? And the character of the cigar maker, does that speak to me as well? And these are two things that I find, regardless of whether the cigar is boutique, and like a boutique premium cigar, or a small batch cigar, or an artisanal cigar, or a big brand cigar, or something that's like time-tested brand names that have been around forever, and these days they make a lot of new cigars. And like, regardless of what type of brand it is, does it give me those things? A quality experience and someone that I connect with. And if it does, I find value in that brand. And I think everybody's a little different though, too. So I'm going to ask you to drop a comment down below. What are the key qualifying factors for you for like a cigar to be considered good, and especially for a cigar brand to be considered quality enough that you want to keep it around, keep some of these in the humidor on a regular basis? Drop that down in the comments below. And I just wanted to kind of peel back the curtain on this for you, not just to knock on Rocket Mail here, because Rocket Mail makes an excellent point right here. But also I wanted to touch on that boutique cigars bit, because there is this stigma around the boutique cigar world. Some people in the cigar industry, it's the only thing they want to do. There are whole cigar shops open that specialize in boutique cigars. There are other people who treat boutique cigars like they're the plague. Believe it or not. They want nothing to do with these startup brands who like nobody knows anything about, and you have to explain every one to every person that you come across. A lot of cigar purveyors would rather just stick with brand names that people already know, recognize, and trust. And so it ends up being this a little bit of a dichotomy in the cigar world between the little startup brands and some of the big time tested brands. So I'd also be interested to know in the comments which side of the coin you fall on. Are you an eclectic smoker? Do you love everything? Or do you kind of pick one side? Are you more of a boutique person, or more of like a big brand person? And of course, I want to give you guys a little bit more insight and a look inside how I think about this issue exactly. But I'm only going to do that on Rumble and on Cigars Daily Plus. So I'll invite you to catch the extended version of this video when you watch it over there. Drop your comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.